Welcome everyone to another episode of Peter Tears Stuff, this time joined by my Screams After Midnight co-host, Tim.
Hello.
On this episode, we are going to rank in tiers the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. This category was picked by our live stream audience, which we are also recording in front of, so some people are watching this live, but this is going to be us taking the 9 Freddy Krueger movies, 7 original films, the Freddy vs. Jason movie, and the remake, and putting them into tiers. If you've not seen one of these before, the way this works is that we have the S tier is the best, that is the cream of the crop, the top of the top, and we have the A tier, the B tier, C tier, and so on. So it's just like the letter grades from a school exam, but with the S being the special, the super, the best of the best. So that is what we're going to do. Very straightforward, very simple. Tim, I don't know how you feel about where you want to start this off. I always struggle if I want to start at the bottom or the top here. Is there an obvious contender for top or bottom? Now, I will actually preface this as well with one thing. I have not seen the remake, so I'm going to just have to let Tim do this. I'm going to have to trust Tim to put that where it belongs. So I guess my question is, Tim, is that an F tier movie? Is that?
Oh, without a doubt, it's not even a question. It's,
all right, easy peasy.
Yeah, it's really bad. Sorry.
There you go. Simple.
It's unimaginative. It's like makes the story worse. The actor is just not as good as Robert Englund, and they just use so much. Like, they're so reliant on CGI that takes out all the charm of the practical effects, which made all the kills and dream sequences so good in the original movies. It's really, really bad.
Now, it's worth mentioning, we don't have to use all the tiers either. We don't have to use every single one. But at the same time, we're not necessarily saying that an S tier on this ranking is the same as an S tier in another franchise or another batch of movies. It's an S tier for Nightmare on Elm Street. So, I mean, is there an obvious one to go at the top? I feel like we're going to argue, because I know your favourite's probably the first one.
Well, I mean, you can have multiple in like the tops, right?
True. Yes. We can have 2 in the S tier if we really wanted to. Yes. So is that your solution, that both the first and the third to go in the S tier? Is that what you're saying?
Personally, I would put them both in there. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, maybe that's the easy choice.
The cat just jumped on my back.
Okay.
But no, I mean, I do agree. I think the third one is great. But I don't know. I think the first one establishes so much, and it's a classic for a reason. And I think it still has some of the most memorable kills of the series. I think there's a lot of good in the first. I think it's and it really stands out among other horror movies. So I would definitely put it up there. But I mean, I do agree with you. The third one. It's a very beloved one. A lot of people really like it. I agree. It's great. It's super fun to watch. It has really great characters, notable kills, and it starts to bring the series in a new direction that's really fun. And so I think they both belong up there.
I would definitely agree that one's probably the most. It's actually like a horror movie, and that it's the most tense and the most kind of creepy and whatnot. 3, you don't really have that anymore. You have more of a fun vibe, and I kind of appreciate that and maybe like that. In the case of the series, at least a little bit more. But now, typically left to right on these is also us saying the one at the left's the best, the one at the right's the next best. But I'm not going to debate with you too much over which one goes first here. I'll just let the original go first. I'll pick my battles, because there may be other battles to fight here. Yeah. And the good news is that we both watched most of these relatively recently for the show, so they're fresh in our heads, at least.
Yeah, and to be fair, when you're talking about 1 and 3, which one's better, it's gonna be a matter of decimal points. It's I can see arguments for both, and I love both, but I don't think it's one would be wildly better than the other.
Well, that leads us on to what comes next. Is there any inkling you have with the rest of these? Well,
I think the easiest one would be part 6. I think that's real easy where that goes.
Are you going to argue that's on the F tier with the remake, or on the E tier?
I would say F for that one as well.
You say F as well.
Yeah.
It's really bad. Freddy's Dead.
It's bad.
is real bad. So it's better than the remake, though, right?
I would watch it over the remake. So
sure,
yeah.
Right. So yeah. I'll put that sort of There you go. Yeah, I'll put
At
that
the
in
very
the order.
at the very very least, at least you still have Robert Englund in that one.
True, yes.
So.
And a weird random ass cameo from Johnny Depp. He didn't come back for New Nightmare, but he came back for Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare.
Of course.
Yeah. Such a weird. The 90s were a weird time for Freddy and Jason. Just absurd choices were being made left and right.
Well, while we're on that, then you want to do Freddy versus Jason next?
All right, Freddy vs. Jason. Where do you think Freddy vs. Jason is going to land?
Maybe a D, I think.
A D? You think D for Freddy vs. Jason? I don't know if I can get on board with that.
What are you thinking? C?
I was thinking B.
B?
Well, I mean, if you look at the tiers here, because I mean, let's leave Freddy vs. Jason for now. Let's establish what else is in the A, B, C tiers and what on, and then we can argue where it belongs. Because maybe that's the problem right now is we haven't established what the benchmark for the C tier and the B tiers are. Because if we go with what's next, I feel like there's going to be a significant portion of people screaming for New Nightmare.
Sure.
And I like New Nightmare, but I have to admit, after rewatching them, I actually think 4 might actually get the next one for me.
Oh, I love 4. Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna argue with me.
But I'm going to make a suggestion, Tim. I'm going to make a suggestion.
Okay.
A bold suggestion.
All right, go for it.
I suggest that we do not use the A tier. I don't know if there is an A tier Friday. I think there's 2 S tiers and then there's a gap.
I don't know. I'd probably disagree with that because I mean, we haven't reviewed it on the show yet, so I don't know exactly what your feelings are. But I really, really like New Nightmare. I like it a lot. I would personally, I'd probably put it in the A tier. I mean, if you're more of like, hey, it's like a solid B plus, like I can see that. Maybe it's just personal preference, but I really like New Nightmare. I
mean, it's been a while for me, admittedly. So when we rewatch it, maybe I'll go one way or the other on it. But I remember thinking it was a solid movie in terms of ideas, but it dragged a little bit for me. And
I think, yeah, I mean, you may only personal bias, get a little too much into it. I do think I think the story and ideas are really like what stand out in my mind as being great. There definitely are some dated effects, so it's gonna be a little tough. But I mean, I'd probably still put it at least in a B.
I'm fine with B. Honestly, I think New Nightmare and 4 are quite happy in the B.
I mean, I like 4 a lot. Again, I mean, they're not perfect, so I mean, I'm comfortable with them in the Bs. I wouldn't, put up too much of a fight.
Okay.
For the record, it's B plus.
All right. Well, New Nightmare can go first, and then 4, which I actually think is a really fun movie. It does a few of the cardinal sequel sins that I don't like when they do sequels to movies that I like, but it makes up for it in some absurdly fun ideas where the main character gets like the abilities of all the other people who are killed, and she ends up being this badass, which by the way 5 completely forgets about. So if we're going next, I think 5 goes straight to the D.
I like 5 a lot more than you. I mean, I still think it has like some pretty good kills and stuff in 5, but and I actually don't mind the story. I mean, he is slowly starting to creep into like the Freddy that we don't like, where he is like a little bit more jokey and stuff. But I don't know, I still like him. But I know it is definitely a little cheesy, though. So I mean, it's fair.
You say slowly. I would argue briskly becoming the Freddy we don't like in 5.
Sure.
Briskly.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't put up too much fight with you. Yeah, if you want to put in the D tier, I still like it a lot. I don't think it's like. I think it's still like a pretty fun watch, especially if you're watching all of them, kind of like in a if you're having a little what do you call it, a marathon or something. I think it's still good there, but.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's unwatchable. It's still 2 places above 5 in the remake. It's still a reasonable place. So that leaves us with Freddy vs. Jason and Nightmare 2. Freddy vs. Jason, we were kind of debating earlier. Now, we're looking at what we've established now as the B tier and the D tier. Do you think it slots in between those at the C tier? Do you think it belongs in the D tier with 5? Do you think it belongs in the B tier with the other 2?
I definitely wouldn't put it B tier.
Yeah, my instinct is to C tier. I would put it, that's slot, because I think it's better than 5, but I don't think it's as good as 4.
It's a strange one because it's a lot of fun. But there's also just some stuff that's not good. There's some stuff that's really dated. None of the characters are really memorable. But it is one of those things where it's like, when you kind of hear about some of the other ideas they had and some of the other possible directions they could have gone with, it's like, it is probably the best they could have done.
Yeah, we dodged a lot of bullets. We were like Neo in the Matrix, as moviegoers, dealing with the ideas that we could have had with Freddy vs. Jason.
So, I don't know. And I guess just no matter how bad it is, like just seeing these two people on screen at the same time, it is like kind of fun. I feel like
I'm into it as soon as I hear the opening where it's like down, 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 down. See, as soon as I hear that at the start, I'm like, okay, I'm getting into this. I'm kind of into what he's doing here. All right, we could do something with this.
It's pretty cool.
It's not a great movie. I think it knows what it is, and it's just suitably silly. The characters are kind of annoying and whatever, but admittedly, it's been a while since I watched it. Maybe I'll regret putting it this high if I convince you to put it into the C place, or maybe I'll be like, no, it should have been higher when I see it again. But at least from memory, I think C in between these entries is where I'd put it.
I guess if I'm just coming down to, is it better or worse than 5?
It's a pretty easy question, Tim. I'm pretty confident I can answer that for you.
Maybe your opinion.
5 sucks.
No, 5 is good. I like 5. I'm sorry. I think it has to be D. I don't think.
Okay, I will accept D, but it's going before 5. It's D before 5, okay. Right? Can we settle on that? Okay.
Sure.
Okay, Freddy vs. Jason is going to D before 5. You can see it there. So we've created an interesting pattern here of movies on this ranking. So that leaves one movie, the oddity, the wild card that is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. So I guess, Tim.
Actually, I think it's pretty easy. I think it would be a C. No? Or are you thinking A?
I wasn't thinking A. I was definitely not thinking A.
I think C.
I think C is
fair. 2 is so weird. I feel like, especially like in recent years, it's getting some like kind of critical reevaluation, because I feel like growing up you always kind of heard it was like the weird one, and like not as many people like it. But you go back, I do think there's some interesting ideas in it. I feel like what kind of sets it apart is that it just feels like such a weird like one and done like oddity, whereas like 1, 3, 4, and 5, and I guess kind of like even 6, like as differences in quality they still feel like such a connected story, where 2 just feels like so disconnected. Which I guess isn't necessarily like a bad thing, but there's like still like some like but it just like it makes it hard when you're looking at the franchise as a whole, and then you're going back and it's like, oh, like what are these kind of like, they're doing these weird things that wasn't really like established in like other movies, and like just kind of like seeing like Freddy in the real world and like and stuff, which I guess isn't like that big of a stretch or whatnot, but like
this is another one, watching it again this was over a year ago now, but watching it relatively recently, 4 was better than I remember it, and 2 kind of was as well. Not as good as 4, but 2 is definitely an interesting film. It definitely has an edge to it that's kind of not in the other ones. So, yeah, I think C is probably fair. When I was arguing for Freddy vs. Jason in C, I was thinking 2 would be in C as well, but maybe in front of it. So I think we're agreeing then that Freddy 2, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, is going to the C. And we didn't intend to do this, but this has ended up being completely symmetrical from top to bottom, which is wonderful in so many ways. So if we ever get another Nightmare on Elm Street movie, let's hope that it starts to actually become top heavy, because right now it's an even spread of quality throughout the various grades there. So hopefully this was somewhat entertaining, and maybe you agree or disagree with these placements. You can let us know in the comments what you think of these. I'll leave this up on the screen so you can keep looking at it whilst we're wrapping up here. But yeah, so this was the first Peter Tiers with Tim here as a guest. No doubt we'll end up doing more. Probably next time we do a stream together, whenever that may be, and we'll do other horror franchises. But I'll have more coming on my own as well in the coming weeks. So yeah. So let us know what you thought of the tiers in the comments. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. If you want to support everything we do here, go over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and support us for as little as $1 per month. We can get some bonuses for your troubles, and then there's higher tiers with more on offer, so go and have a look. It helps keep all the content coming. But that is us, so thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, and welcome to prime time, bitch.